In a faraway kingdom, there lived a princess named Subu. She was known for her good manners and politeness. Subu always said, "Please" and "thank you," and treated everyone with respect. One day, Prince Max from a neighboring kingdom visited. He was known for his rudeness and bad manners. Prince Max was used to getting whatever he wanted and didn't care about anyone's feelings. When he arrived, Princess Subu greeted him with a smile and a curtsy, but Prince Max ignored her and walked past. Throughout the day, Prince Max was rude to everyone. He interrupted conversations, didn't say please or thank you, and made fun of people. Princess Subu watched with sadness, knowing his behavior was wrong. She decided to talk to him. "Prince Max," she said gently, "I've noticed you haven't been very polite today. May I help you understand why good manners are important?" Prince Max was surprised by Subu's kindness. He listened as she explained the value of being polite and respectful. Gradually, he started to change. He began saying please and thank you, stopped interrupting, and started complimenting people. By the end of the day, Prince Max had become a well-mannered prince. He thanked Princess Subu for teaching him about good manners. The kingdom was amazed by his transformation. Subu's kindness showed that good manners are about respecting others and making the world a better place. Moral: kindness and good manners can transform people's lives. The Jackal and the Sun Child. A jackal is a wild dog with a big black back. It resides in the desert. But how did the jackal get his black back? This was how it happened. One day, the jackal saw a girl. She was sitting upon a rock. She was not a normal child. She was a rare and beautiful sun child. She was bright and warm like the sun. The child saw the jackal and smiled. She said, "Jackal, I have been relaxing on this rock for too long. I must get home soon. But I am slow and you are fast. You will likely get me home more quickly." Then she requested, "Will you carry me home? If you do, I'll give you a gift. This necklace belongs to me, but I will give it to you." The wild jackal agreed. So, the sun child sat on the dog's back. They started to walk. But soon, the jackal felt ill. The sun child was very hot on his back. The heat was hurting his back very badly. "I made a terrible error in judgment," he thought. He shouldn't have agreed to carry her. So he asked her to get off. But she did not. The jackal's back continued to get hotter and hotter. He had to get away from the sun child. So he made a plan. First, he ran as fast as he could. He hoped the sun child would fall off. But she did not. So when the sun child was looking at the sky, not aware of the jackal's next plan, he jumped into a field of flowers. As a result, the child rolled off his back. The jackal ran away. But the sun child left a mark on the jackal's back, a visible black mark. Ever since his experience with the sun child, the jackal has had a black back. Tiny Tina. In a distant land, there was a kingdom where fairies lived. Tina was a fairy. She had yellow curls and wore a dress made of wool. She always moved with grace. However, Because of her compact size, she was scared of mankind. One day, there was an eclipse of the sun. The fairies didn't know what was happening. They were scared, so they ran away. Tina looked for a place to hide. She found a garden with flowers blooming. Tina had a passion for flowers. She decided to hide there. She became sleepy and made a pillow with some leaves. She whistled happily as she worked, and she fell asleep. Suddenly, somebody sneezed. The sound woke Tina up. She saw a very big face looking at her. Tina was so scared that she couldn't move. She could feel her pulse going very fast. The big woman went into her house. When she came back, she gave Tina a cup. The woman sat on the ground among some decaying leaves. Tina dipped a finger in the cup and tasted it. It was tea with all kinds of delicious spices in it. Tina felt refreshed after drinking the tea. "I'm Wilma," the lady said. "I spend all my leisure time in my garden cutting flowers. Would you like some dessert?" Tina said yes. She was hungry, and she wasn't frightened anymore. She took a bite of cake and relaxed. "How did you get to my garden?" Tina told Wilma how she got lost. "That's terrible. Let us take you home." "Actually, I think that I want to stay with you," Tina said. She wasn't scared of big people anymore. Wilma and Tina lived happily ever after. The boy and his sled. Mike was the smallest child in school. Another boy, Joe, always teased Mike. Joe had a large scar on his face from fighting other children. One day, Joe offended Mike when he made fun of Mike's Valentine, Jane. Mike felt disgrace, but he didn't know how to make Joe stop. That day, Mike walked home down an alley. He found a bunch of wood boards next to a pine tree. He thought to himself, "I could build a decent sled from this. If I let Joe use it, he will be nicer to me and Jane." He took the wood home. Mike got an axe and cut the wood. He used nails to make sure that the pieces were not loose. As he worked, he bumped his elbow on the boards. The painful sensation made him want to cry. It was a hard chore, but he persisted. He worked overnight. By morning, the sled was finished. Mike called Joe on the telephone. He said, "Hi Joe. Come over to my house right away." Joe didn't know why Mike wanted him to come over. When Joe arrived, Mike told him, "Joe, it irritated me the other day when you said mean things about my card to Jane. You weren't kidding when you said those mean things. But I'm not like you. I just built this sled, and I'll let you ride it with me if you are nice." They became friends, and Joe was grateful that Mike was so nice to him. He learned that it is more fun to be nice than to be mean. Sheriff Dan. Dan was the evil sheriff of Oceantown. Dan was as cruel as the devil. He worshipped money. Dan was a millionaire, but he paid his police officers almost nothing. The police were very bitter, but Dan didn't care. He only cared about his money. Every person who inhabited Oceantown disliked him. Dan enforced cruel laws. Once, Dan even put his own brother in jail for throwing a coin into a fountain. Sometimes he pointed his gun into the air and pulled the trigger. He didn't want the bullets to hit anyone. He just wanted to scare people with the loud sound. Finally, the people of Ocean Town decided that they had to get rid of Sheriff Dan. With their understanding, the crowd sought to unify the town. They marched to Dan's house. He was startled by the sight when he ran to the door. When he opened the door, the crowd jumped on him. They used a rope to tie him to a chair. Dan yelled, "Get your hands off of me! I'll put you all in jail for the rest of your lives." The crowd didn't listen. They carried Dan to the harbor and put him aboard a vessel. Dan was so scared that he began to sweat. He begged, "If you let me go, I will give you all my money." The crowd said back, "Sheriff, we don't care about your money. We know you will never change. We're sending you on a voyage to the middle of the ocean." The boat drifted out of the port, and Dan was never seen again. The people voted for a new sheriff who was kind and fair. The Duke and the Minister. A mean duke grew tobacco, and his cardinal rule was to always keep the plants healthy. The duke's top minister was his twin brother. They closely resembled each other. One day, the tobacco plants started to die. He hired men to watch the fields. Soon, the men brought a woman to him and said, "We captured a witch." The Duke asked, "How do you know?" "She sang magic words. I can't pronounce them. She has cursed us." "The death of the plants is a symptom of her curse," the men said. "I am just an ordinary woman. I was singing a song in a different language," the woman protested. The Duke didn't listen. "You are guilty. You will go to jail." The minister thought that she was innocent. He needed to expose the truth. He asked the Duke to loan him one of his plants. He looked at it closely. He saw hundreds of small bugs eating it. Then the minister went to the jail and did something bold. "Let this woman go," he said. The guards thought he was the Duke. They let her go. The minister said, "I owe you an apology." "Thank you." "I thought my stay in jail was permanent," the woman answered. The minister thought the Duke would punish him. But he didn't. The Duke was too busy trying to preserve his plants.